The F-104 Starfighter is a controversial fighter jet. Even though this combat aircraft had an impressive performance for its time, many still remember it with scandals and its high accident rate. Today, we're investigating the F-104, one of the most iconic fighter jets. The F-104 had a limited career in the US Air Force service, but this combat aircraft was the backbone of the air forces of many US allies for a long time. Many sources have plenty of information about the aircraft, but we will try to focus on the less known facts. Yet, to build a solid foundation, let's briefly look at the history and features of the F-104. Using the experiences of the Korean War, Lockheed began to work on a new fighter jet and assembled a team in 1952. This team decided on a simple and small lightweight aircraft with a single powerful engine after studying over 100 aircraft configurations. The US Air Force was almost instantly interested in the new jet to supplement and replace the F-100 Super Sabre, but did not directly give the job to Lockheed. The aircraft, called XF-104, had to compete with the XF-91 Thunderceptor of Republic Aviation, the NA-212 of North American Aviation, and the N-102 Fang of Northrop Corporation. Still, the US Air Force chose Lockheed's proposal and awarded the company a development contract in 1953 for 2 prototypes. Within a year, Lockheed produced them. Yet, the J-79 engine was not ready. And when the first XF-104 prototype officially made its maiden flight on March 4, 1954, it was equipped with the Wright J-65 engine. Based on the trials, Lockheed developed the YF-104, which had a lengthened fuselage, the General Electric J-79 engine, new landing gear, and modified air intakes. This aircraft made its maiden flight on February 17, 1956. The first production variant, the F-104A, entered the US Air Force service on January 28, 1958. The F-104 was created as a day air superiority fighter. However, the US Air Force took it as an interceptor due to performance problems of the F-102 Delta Dagger and delays on the F-106 Delta Dart. At first glance, its impressive climb rate and altitude capability made the F-104 perfect for the interception roles. Yet, its range and endurance were poor for the job. So, the US Air Force, which initially planned to have 722 starfighters, reduced this number to 170. Still, it was not the end. In 1957, West Germany sought a new fighter bomber to replace their first-generation jets. It evaluated many aircraft. Some of them, such as the Sandler Zero SR-177 and Grumman F-11F-1F Super Tiger, were still in the not-so-promising design phase. The English Electric Lightning, Convair F-102 Delta Dagger, and Convair F-106 Delta Dart were big interceptors. They were not suitable for fighter-bomber missions. The Republic F-105 Thunder Chief was a bomber rather than a fighter. The Chanswat F-8U Crusader was neither simple nor advanced. Even though the Saab 35 was impressive, Germany eliminated the Droken at the very beginning. On the other hand, Lockheed quickly redesigned the Starfighter's airframe and created the F-104G to fulfill the German Air Force's requirements. It had a more powerful J-79-11A engine, an enlarged tail with a powered rudder, improved blown flaps with a mode for better maneuverability, electric de-icing equipment for the air intake inlets, the Audinatics F-15A NASARR multi-mode radar, and the LN-3 inertial navigation system. The new variant, with a nuclear bomb delivering capability, could carry more weapons than the original US Air Force versions. The F-104G was a simple, small, lightweight fighter with a high air-to-air and air-to-surface combat capability. Unlike many of its rivals, it was low-cost and ready to produce. So, Germany preferred the Starfighter. Besides, the Marineflieger, the naval air arm of the German Navy, used this aircraft with minimum change for maritime strike missions, even though its staff was keen to have the twin-engine Buccaneer. Germany's decision influenced many other US allies, and Belgium, Canada, Italy, Japan, and the Netherlands also selected the F-104 to produce under license. Besides, some other pro-US countries acquired the aircraft. 2,578 F-104s were produced by Lockheed and under license by various foreign manufacturers. Even though the F-104 seemed to have certain advantages against its rivals in the tender, everybody knows that the reason behind these decisions was the infamous Lockheed bribery scandal. Yet, we should also mention some other facts. No one could buy the French Mirage 3 and Swedish Saab 35 Draken while they were seeking US military assistance in a possible war. So, while Lockheed bribed the politicians of these countries, they also bribed the USA to guarantee its protection. Besides, other F-104 operators could get the aircraft at low prices or even free thanks to the US military assistance program. Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Germany, Greece, Italy, Japan, Jordan, the Netherlands, Norway, Pakistan, Spain, Taiwan, Turkey, and the USA were the users of the F-104. The G version of the F-104 had a length of 16.66 meters, a wingspan of 6.63 meters, and a height of 4.11 meters. Its wing area was 18.22 square meters. The aircraft's empty weight was 6,350 kilograms, while its maximum takeoff weight was over 13,150 kilograms. 169 kilonewton General Electric J79 afterburning turbojet provided a top speed of Mach 2. The F-104G had a ferry range of 2,620 kilometers, while its combat radius was 680 kilometers. The Starfighter's service ceiling was 22,000 meters, in other words, 73,000 feet. It had one 20mm M61A1 Vulcan 6-barreled rotary cannon. The F-104G had 7 hardpoints with a 1,800 kilogram weapon capacity. It could carry the AIM-9 Sidewinder air-to-air missiles, bombs, and rockets. Developed by Italy as an interceptor, the F-104S variant had the NASARR R21GH radar with moving target indicator and continuous wave eliminator for semi-active radar homing missiles, 9 hardpoints, the more powerful J79 GE19 engine, and 2 additional ventral fins to increase stability. It could fire the AIM-7 Sparrow air-to-air missiles. The missile avionics replaced the M61A1 cannon. The F-104 had a rocket-like design rather than a fighter jet. Its fuselage was nearly 2.5 times longer than its wingspan. This design made the Starfighter fast, but it was too fast for landing. Lockheed engineers had to add a boundary layer control system to make aircraft slow during the landing. Still, the landing approach speed of the F-104 was similar to its runway bombing speed. Also, the aircraft had to take off at a speed of over 400 km per hour and then quickly accelerate. So, the landing gears had to be retracted within 2 seconds after takeoff. At a speed of over 420 kilometers, the landing gears might get stuck due to high air resistance. The Starfighter could climb high altitudes quickly. Even the US Air Force tested a zero-length takeoff system on the F-104. At first glance, these features made the Starfighter an excellent interceptor. Still, its short and thin wings could not carry fuel, reducing the range and endurance. So, it was unsuitable for interception missions. To solve this problem, the F-104 was fitted with air refueling capability by the C variant. Yet, since no Starfighter user other than the USA had tanker aircraft at that time, this capability had no meaning. The Starfighter was a maintenance-friendly aircraft. Cleverly placed maintenance stores made the crew's job easier to access onboard equipment and critical systems. The F-104 operators developed new tactics utilizing the Starfighter's acceleration and climbing abilities to overcome the high turning radius disadvantage. First, the pilots avoided close air combat. They kept the speed above 650 km per hour and the aircraft at high altitudes. In general, a Starfighter wing consisted of 2 or 4 aircraft. When an enemy aircraft was detected, the first F-104 began to dive over it at a speed of over 1,100 km per hour to open fire, and then immediately climbed almost vertically. Many combat jets could not follow the F-104 in a high-speed climb until the 4th generation fighters emerged. In some cases, the Starfighters even made a zigzag during the climb, which caused the following enemy aircraft to speed loss and stall. When the circle was complete, this second F-104 began to dive, and so on. This way, the attack on the enemy aircraft did not stop because the attack in F-104 changed continuously. In the Vietnam War, the US pilots preferred two aircraft diving attacks to take advantage of the element of surprise and attack from behind, then fly up quickly and attack a second time from above. This tactic confused the North Vietnamese pilots and helped create an impression that they were being attacked by a much larger formation. Even though the US F-104s had no air victory in this war, they deterred many MiG interceptors with this tactic. Besides, despite its high turning radius, the F-104 was hard to detect because of its small size, which was very handy for a skillful pilot. Using this advantage, a Japanese pilot was able to shoot down a US F-15 in a simulated dogfight during a joint training exercise. There are so many sources that tell the combat stories of the Starfighter. Let's continue with the little-known combat record of the F-104. Even though the Marineflyger operated the aircraft for maritime strike missions equipped with the AS-30 and Cormoran anti-ship missiles, the German F-104s never sunk a ship in combat. On the other hand, the Turkish Starfighters sunk the TCG Kocatepe destroyer of the Turkish Navy on July 21, 1974 due to a communication error during the Turkish invasion of Cyprus. The F-104 was a notorious aircraft with a high accident rate. It had many nicknames such as Widowmaker, Flying Coffin, Ground Nail, Lawn Dart, and Aluminum Death Tube. Also, to get a Starfighter, you just need to buy a farm and wait for it to fall on it was a common joke. The F-104 was one of the early examples of supersonic second-generation jets. Many new technologies applied to these aircraft were still immature. So the transition from the first generation to the second was challenging for the pilots. And the spirit of the time was different. The F-104 operators, preparing for a total war of destruction, performed intense warlike exercises. As the frontline country of NATO, Germany had to provide the first response with its F-104s when a Warsaw-Pact warship sailed to the Baltic Sea or an aircraft neared NATO's airspace. These facts naturally increased the number of accidents. Many sources say that the F-104 has the highest accident rate of any US Air Force Century Series fighter. It is true when you look at the accident rate per 100,000 flying hours. Yet, over the lifetime of its US Air Force service, 889 F-100s were destroyed in accidents, which is higher than the F-104 in this category. Germany lost approximately 32% of its starfighters in accidents. However, it lost 36% of its F-84Fs. Before we wrap up, we want to mention a couple other interesting facts about the Starfighter. Mitsubishi produced the aircraft under license for Japan. Mitsubishi Pencil is the division of this company, which produces pencils, as the name suggests. So, even though the Japan Air Self-Defense Force called the aircraft Eiko, meaning glory, its unofficial nickname was Mitsubishi Pencil due to its shape. Another interesting fact is that the Lockheed U-2 Dragon Lady was developed based on the XF-104, even though these two aircraft do not look like each other. We tried to mention some little-known information about the F-104 in addition to the facts known by everyone in our own way. We hope you enjoy our video about the legendary Starfighter. Thanks for watching our video. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell button to be notified of our new videos. Also, you can now click the join button to support our channel. And as always, we would greatly appreciate all of your likes, comments and shares.